I don't really know what I expected from this thing. Hello and welcome to another review here on my channel. Today we're going to look at Transformers The Last Night. That doesn't sound like a B movie. I don't really know what will. Well, it is of course produced and directed by Michael Bay. He usually does this, and it is the 5th one in the mainline Transformers series. When it was released, this didn't do that well, and it is to date the lowest grossing mainline Transformers movie. Essentially, what is it called? Bumblebee is the most recent Transformers movie, which did do less, but it wasn't made by as much money as this one. Essentially, The Last Night was made with $250 million, I think it was. That is a lot, yeah, and I don't think they made their money back. That is fun. But let's just jump right into it. Transformers The Last Night are essentially having as a back burner the storyline being about the Round Table, King Arthur and his magicians Merlin, and how the Transformers essentially interacted with them and being part of their lives. And that is somewhat weird in my opinion, but I will stick with it, I guess. After we get the introduction about King Arthur, etc., medieval times, sword and sorcery, dragons, yes, dragons. We go to present time, which essentially we see a group of young boys essentially going into a restricted area, where we find one of our lead characters, which are a girl that we've never seen before, that is introduced in this movie, and she is completely unnecessary in the storyline in my opinion. Yeah, she shouldn't have been in this movie, but they're trying to make her important in the final act, but overall she wasn't needed at all. She's just an unnecessary character. Well, we meet her. She's trying to save these boys from getting caught by the main corporation that essentially are trying to hide the Transformers, or yeah, etc. She essentially fails. One of her buddies, Transformers buddies, gets killed, but Mark Wahlberg's character, I can't really remember what his character is called, but he's the main character essentially, and he comes in and saves the day. So yeah. Fun for all. Then yeah, then he goes back after going from this restricted area and gets some type of amulet thing that is important to the plot for some reason, and they essentially say in the movie that it shows him, but I couldn't care less overall. Then we will see some type of organization that essentially try to hide the Transformers being in our history of humankind, and that is weird in its own way. The main guy behind that, this is the last living member of this organization, are played by Anton, what is it called? Sorry, I'm going to look this up. Sorry. Anthony Hopkins, essentially. Yeah. Sorry for that. He's an important character in this movie. Then we also find a woman that is essentially a professor of some kind that is also important to the storyline. He's one of the main characters, essentially. Yeah. This one follows essentially. But when it comes to Mark Wahlberg's character, he was in the last movie, but his daughter isn't. That is mentioned and isn't really important to the storyline somehow. I don't really know why she isn't in this movie. She will probably say no. Yeah. Fenrir trying to stop the Decepticons, if I can remember correctly, if they're called, and essentially try to stop. I can't remember what it's called. The Transformers planet essentially going to Earth, which is now called Unicorn. It is Unicron, and their planet are going to essentially eat up our planet, take our energy in order to get rebuilt again. And that is essentially the entire storyline. I don't want to explain anything more because it is weird. The storyline, in my opinion, are a little bit confusing. I try to essentially say something, well, explain it the best I can. I'm a little bit tired, so I may sound a little bit weird, but overall I think it is a little bit confusing and stupid and not really that good. It had its moments when it comes to Anthony Hopkins' character, which essentially are one of the best parts of this storyline, essentially. But overall, I think it isn't that good of a storyline, so yeah. The acting and the characters are, for the most part, really bad. The only character that I think are really good and portrayed really well are Anthony Hopkins' character, which was named Sir Edmund Burton, essentially. Mark Wahlberg does a Happening again. It is essentially that type of acting that he did in The Happening. You just hear it in his voice, it is just weird. I don't really know what he's doing. Overall, I think some characters are unnecessary, such as the girl that I talked about in the synopsis part, that she wasn't really needed for a storyline, so she could have been cut. Essentially, some other characters are just, they are written weird, they are written stupidly, and they are portrayed badly. I don't really know if it's the directing or just the script that was bad, but overall the acting was just bad. The effects and environments were okay. Everything looked fake, that I will say about the effects, but they were okay. It was cool to see the Transformers, it was cool to see how they transformed, etc. But it looked really fake and didn't fit in the world, essentially. It just looked like it was a computer that had put something on the screen, and that was that. When it comes to environments, they are good. I would say they are the best part about this movie, because they goes from space, they go from Earth, different parts of Earth. You will see the moons from in some parts, and the environments of, as I say, are the best part, because it gives you, it changes a lot and it gives you more to look at than just one part or one area, essentially. So I really like that about this movie. But as I said, the effects are just not that good. They are okay at best. They looked fake, so yeah. Overall, it was an okay experience, essentially. The Transformers are good essentially. There were many of them, so well, it is one of the main reasons you want to see a Transformers movie. You want to see the Transformers and what they do and how they transform, etc., etc. Overall, I think the ones they chose was interesting, and of course Optimus Prime are back, Bumblebee and the gang, and so then there was some new ones. So I think they are decent, essentially. Yeah. Even if I explained it a little bit stupid and because I'm being tired, Transformers The Last Night is just not a good movie. The storyline are just awful. It wasn't really well put together. It was bad. I never thought about it previously, but the editing in this movie are just awful. It just feels like they cut some scenes and it just, yeah, it didn't work that well. The acting could be much better. The only saving grace when it comes to the acting were Anthony Hopkins' character and how he portrayed it. When it comes to the effects and environments, the effects, they looked fake, but were decent enough to be decent to look at. And the environments were the best part of this movie. And of course the Transformers was okay. You like it was the thing that you come to see when you want to see this movie. So yeah. Overall, I can't really recommend this movie if you aren't really a real or big Transformers fan, essentially, because overall it just a bad put together movie. So the final verdict for Transformers The Last Night are going to be a 2.3 out of 10. That's all for today, folks. Hope to see you next time.